Y'all are pitching, can you form a line on the side of the stage?
No, like on low pass, there's like all those people and like my which makes it almost important.
You signed up, so if you did sign up, I encourage you to come pitch.
If it's just clear, then it's like, oh, I'm sort of it was really cool to get to high speed. And so I guess I mean, that was that dude. Dude, we drove from Colorado to high school. We had a person right now. You always like, bro, so like, no, but they're like, oh, yeah, mostly people. Yeah, that was talking. It was not a family. It was a friend. Yeah, it was me and my friends headed to Colorado.
All right. What's up, guys? How we doing? All right. So my name is Zach, and I'm a UX designer. This past summer, I moved out to Silicon Valley, and I started an internship at a big tech company. I was super excited, and I got there. I was expecting to work on these big, huge projects, new apps, cool new websites, and first day, they started giving me a bunch of busy work. Hey, Zach, we have a bunch of new screens for mobile. Can you convert them to iPad? Or, hey, Zach, we have a bunch of new screens in light mode. Can you convert them to dark mode? But I was confident. I'm great with Figma. So I got there, and I grinded through everything, handed it off to the developers. I'd go to the coffee shop, get a bunch of free food, because, you know, Silicon Valley tech startup, and it was great. And the next day, we got a big company-wide email from the CTO saying, hey, everyone, you guys are now allowed to use Cursor on all of your projects.
Now we're not.
You're now allowed. And for me, I was like, oh shit, that's bad, because now all the developers are gonna be really fast, and I'm still really slow. So the next day came, I sent in all my designs about 3 p.m., and 30 minutes later, I had working software. And I was like, oh no, this is kind of bad. I'm the slow UX designer, these guys used to be the slow developers, now they're the fast ones. What do I do? That's when one of my friends told me about Word. It's this crazy new Figma plugin that creates all your design requests within a minute or two. You can give it those simple design requests they used to give me. I'd give it to Word, and it would make them in a few seconds. I started using that, and all of a sudden, I was faster than developers. giving them all the designs I need for the day, and I was back on track. We were churning through our sprints faster than we ever could before, and yeah, that's Word.
All right, hand it off, and I'll give you some feedback. But
Thank you.
Great job, great story, very engaging. When you got to the second part, you told you spent more time on the first story.
Yeah.
And I would you spent actually very little time on the second story. You're like, and then you just used it, and it was great, and blah blah blah. And so I think actually describing how you use it, as you said, this is really loud. Instead of assuming, really loud here. Instead of assuming that we know what it's like, and describing the use of it would really help differentiate it. And then my biggest concern in the whole thing, just as we might want to try to proactively address, is when I think of that, when I tell ChatGPT to convert something, it's crap.
Yeah.
And so just give me some confidence that yours is going to get it all right and be good. So if you don't do it now, just do that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good job.
Hi everyone, my name is Lily Masterson, and I'm going to admit something to you guys about myself today. I am the person that goes into my closet full of clothes every single week and thinks to myself, I have literally nothing to wear. This is what my Saturdays looked like last fall. I would wake up extra early just to be ready on time for the football game. I had the perfect outfit idea in my head, and then I'd go to put it on. It did not work. It looked terrible. Now I'm freaking out. I try on 10 outfits. I throw the clothes all over my room, and it's a total mess, and I'm ready 45 minutes later than I expected to be. And the cherry on top is that my roommate texts me, hey, can I come look in your closet? I have nothing to wear today. So now let me tell you what my Saturdays look like this year since I downloaded the Revest app 3 months ago. I open the app, I type in a simple prompt, how can I style these shorts for game day today? Since I downloaded the app, I had uploaded a picture of every single item in my closet, and it created a digital inventory. So now within 1 minute, the virtual assistant has sent me back 3 different outfit options with only clothing that I already own, and it's just that easy. So I'm dressed in 5 minutes. As I'm heading out the door, I take a quick picture of my outfit, just a really easy selfie, submit it to the app, and I keep doing that. Day after day goes by, I keep submitting the selfies, and 3 months later, I get an email from Revest detailing an entire report about the things that I might want to buy another color in, ways that I can style the things that I'm not really reaching for recently, and maybe even the best resale options so that I can get the best bang for my buck for things that it's just time to let go of. There's no more decision fatigue. Revest makes your clothes work for you so that you can be the best version of yourself every time you walk out of the house. Thank you.
Still learning what we're doing here.
All right, that's cool. Great job. Obviously, you practiced a lot, which came across. It was really smooth and really great. I know this is a big problem because I've heard lots of people talk about these types of issues, so I know it's a real thing. And I think the thing that I would really focus on is maybe what's different about how you're doing it now, because there's just been a lot of other closet sharing kind of things, and I think there's probably a lot of ways you can do that differently now that make it cooler using AI and like you said, and other things, but really emphasizing that. Maybe this is how you do it, maybe it isn't, but maybe that gets into a little bit like the last example, more of the story on the second part. So you were like, I took pictures of all my clothes, which, maybe that's how you do it. Maybe it's I basically put on my I turned on my camera and I just basically flipped through my closet really fast, or something just describing how you took pictures of the clothes. Or maybe there's another way to do it where it's just you never have to do that. You just take your picture every day and that's how it learns what your clothes are over time. I think focusing on how you're doing it differently, which there probably are a lot of ways to do it differently, would really help you do better. And then for both of them too, having an ask at the end. Every time you're in front of people, you're in front of Blake, and all these other, it's just what's your ask? Whether it's, I want you to go sign up for it, I'm looking for feedback, I'm looking for somebody to work on this with me, what can you ask for when you get in front of everybody? No?
One last idea. Give it access to your photos or your Instagram or whatever you're using, because it already has all your pictures from game day, that it can start bringing in all those.
Yeah, I totally agree. I bet you don't have to
make that
send your
super
closet,
easy a little
and
bit.
it's even faster. It's just you connect it to your Facebook and it knows your clothes.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Hi y'all, my name's Ava. Just a quick show of hands here. Who has been to a football game? Just UT, any football game? Great numbers. So I just want to take it back to the first football game that I ever went to, okay? I was pumped for the season and I was ready to attend my first ever Texas football game. I was with my roommates, he was great. I was so ecstatic. And one of my roommate asked and she says, you know, how are we getting there? And I mean, the only reasonable thing I thought was walk. There's really no other options. And so we're doing great on time, and we're walking, but we quickly realize, oh, we're actually running out of time. I mean, we're sprinting at this point. We get to the stadium, and we're supposed to meet up with some friends, but we're quickly remembering, you know, this stadium is actually quite large. So then we're lost. We don't know how to navigate the stadium. We can't find our way around, and we can't find our friends. So we end up, you know, just kind of losing hope, and once we get to the bleachers, we can't even find seats. It's crowded, it's chaotic, it's just insanity. And then once we actually find our seats, we quickly realize, oh, someone needs to use the restroom, and someone needs snacks. So how are we going to pick the most efficient time to actually, you know, get there and get our things that we need? And then it was just all chaotic, and what we ended up realizing was we were wasting more time worrying about these issues than watching the football game, which is the main purpose to why we came. So then let's take it back to my most recent game. One of my roommates picks up Hook'em Helper, and I don't even know what that is, but she just says, hey, the shuttle's picking us up in the next 3 minutes, let's go. And I'm like, okay, that sounds great. Didn't know there was a shuttle option, but why not? We hop on the shuttle and I quickly ask her, hey, what's Hook'em Helper? I mean, I'm confused, give me the rundown. It was a $50 add-on extension to the ticket, as we all know and love, and it was supposed to help us, but I was confused as to how it was going to help us. Once we're there, I realized, hey, my other friends who have Hook'em Helper, actually, there's a live interactive map that guides us and leads us not only throughout the stadium, but to our friends. So we all reconnect within 3 minutes. Once we're sitting down, we quickly realize, hey, we can order food on the app, we can check restroom times, so we can find the most efficient way to solve all of the issues that we were initially having. And, I mean, who wants to have a better game day with the addition of Hook'em Helper? Thank you.
It took me a minute to get to that this isn't just like a ride share. I think you got like the last 15, 20 seconds or when you like got to, oh, here's all the other services. So I think as you were going, I was like, isn't this, you know, XYZ thing that already exists? But then once you got to the other problems it was solving, it became a lot more interesting. But overall, your storytelling was awesome.
Yeah, I think, I think, and I'll comment more generally after this on how the pitches are going, which I think are going great. But now that everyone's kind of falling into the pattern of the story and the storytelling, the next thing you can see that I think a lot of people need to work on is that second part. And in particular, rather than saying, I learned it could let me do this, or I saw that it gave me this benefit, and this is hard, it's harder to do this, it's hard, but to actually tell the story in such a way that you don't have to say it was a benefit, the story tells you it was a benefit, and you kind of get it right out of it. Do you have any other pitches today? One more. I think last week we said we were going to have, we didn't have enough time for demos, so we were going to have fewer pitches today and more demos. So I hope this is fine, and I hope we'll have time, we'll have a bunch of demos to show.
All right, just by show of hands, who here has assembled IKEA furniture before? Yeah, a lot of us. And recently, like many of you, I moved in and I had a good experience of assembling my IKEA furniture. And it reminded me how I'm not an expert at assembling furniture. I mean, it took me hours just to put a table together. I remember taking the time, it was midnight, there's screws rolling around the floor, and I had wood pieces everywhere, and by the time I think I have a table, I realized that I actually used the wrong screws. So then again, I had to take everything apart. I'm back to square one. It's really inefficient, and I felt extremely frustrated in that moment. And so I thought, okay, well, what can I do to solve this problem? And that's why I developed Handy. Handy is an AI assistant that helps you develop your help you build your furniture. And the way it works is really simple. You take your phone out, you take a picture of what you're building, and what it does is it automatically finds the manual of whatever you're building, identifies what step you're on, and it matches it with what you're building. So it immediately tells you, oh, like you're on step 3, and this is exactly what you need to do with these screws. On top of that, it has live feedback, so I can even just show it like a picture of a screw and ask it, where does the screw go? And they'll tell me, oh, that goes later in step 5. And personally, what I think is also really cool about this project is some of its future applications, especially with like smart glasses rising. I think you guys like probably have heard of like those like Meta glasses with the camera, the display, and like the microphone. But I think what's really cool is soon we can just wear these glasses that can take a picture of whatever we might be working on, and it can guide us on how exactly how to do it. And it's just beyond furniture as well, right? So like plumbers, technicians, their hands might be greasy, they might have gloves on, they can't always access the documentation or even like ID a part. So they can use Handy to identify the parts, they can save a lot of time, and ultimately lead to a better overall workflow and experience for them. So Handy, it's not just about fixing furniture, but it's about fixing furniture, about frustration. Thank you.
Great. Well, good job. You can pass off. I think everybody's gone through that problem. Once you have kids, it's assembling like birthday presents, dollhouses, all kinds of other things. So things that'll make that pitch better, kind of along the same vein, work more on the story. Like at the end, it still also is kind of like describing it versus telling how it might be. So now that I said that, I'm going to take a step back, and we've now done this for week 5 or 6? Week 5? Week 6. And you've seen a bunch of pitches, right? You've all done a bunch of pitches. You've seen me give them. You guys have given them. And we've talked a lot about storytelling, about like, you know, the examples. And I've definitely seen a lot of improvement. Like I've seen you're clearly listening and everyone's trying to do the story, and like, so good job. The story still can get better. Like I mentioned, there's places where we need to improve them. But I think you're probably also seeing that then it does start to all sound the same, even still, right? It's like, okay, like this pattern is like starting to feel a little repetitive from the different stories. So in addition to like the first way to break that is actually just to make it more and more of a story. The more it's actually a real story, the more it won't feel like that. Because a real story isn't just forced with like let me tell you the before, let me tell you the after. That's the best way to start, because that's all you got, but like, or when you're starting. But like, when it's not as forced and it's really a story, it's easier to follow along and engage with. It doesn't feel that way. But also the next things are then figuring out now, okay, now how do I make my story stand out? How do I make it feel different? How do I not make it sound like all the other ones? So, to be honest, like, I think a bunch of you still need to work on your story and like maybe do one more of those. But as you're now doing, and if you're doing it for the first time, if you haven't pitched yet and you're coming up, I'd still recommend trying to start with the story format. Like that's a really good place to start. But if you have done that and you're feeling like you're getting that part down, then the next step might be like, okay, now how do you mess with it? How do you do it a little bit differently? How do you, either make the story really stand out, or maybe you want to try not doing a story, and that's okay. Like it's not the only way to go do it. All right, well, today we've got Blake Garrett, so we're going to jump into demos next. But I mentioned before that Blake was going to be with us here today, and Blake is the CEO of Aceable. I've already had them raise their hands. Lots of them, as you can probably imagine, have used Aceable, and so we'll talk about that more today. But first, we're going to go into demos. Then Blake's going to do. We're going to see, just like last week, because Blake has been here at Capital Factory for a long time. We'll see the actual video of Blake's pitching at Capital Factory for like 10 years ago. And then he's going to give a demo and show you like what Aceable is like today, maybe talk a little bit about what would be different about the pitch today. And then there'll be time for you all to talk to him and ask some questions. And then I'll give you one more pitch. So same routine as last time. So do we have demos for today? Awesome. And we should have plenty of time to demo all of them. Awesome. And you have the other mic. So this mic's really. So the assignment is each week they just saw those pitches, they're going to see your pitch. Then I'm going to give them one more pitch at the end. And then next week, they have to demo something that they started today. That's building one of the things we saw, and kind of showing what they could get done with it. You can tell us how they built it using primarily AI tools. Let's go for it.
Hey everyone, I'm Abdullah. I'm a finance major, junior at UT. And one tool that I've been using is called Splitwise. It basically allows me and my roommates to split costs. So let's say my friend or my roommate paid for groceries this time. Then he'll basically put that into Splitwise, the app already in the App Store, and basically split the cost evenly or make it on a percentage basis, etc. So I basically built a clone for it and wanted to experiment with it. I built it through Lovable, and so let me walk you through the entire sign-in process. So I already made an account, so I signed in over here.
Sorry, real quickly. So you made you started with, kind of an inspiration, something called Splitwise.
Yes.
And you also called it Splitwise.
I guess Splitwise 2.0, but
okay,
yeah,
I just want to make sure I know what I'm looking at. So
Yeah.
this is your Splitwise.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes. And so when I first log in, right now I would need other people to join on the platform, so I'll just add one demo person that I coded in the platform. So let's Bob Smith at example.com to use as a demo. And then once, let's say Bob Smith is my roommate, I add him in, and then he'll be in the platform. And from there, then I can start adding actual expenses. Let's say over here, I paid for groceries the other day. So I can type that in manually, maybe say it was X, and I can type in the actual amount that I paid, and then also say who exactly paid for it. So since I paid for it, I can then say that accordingly, and then split it with Bob, and it will easily split it half and half. And so after that, it will show on his account that he owes me $5 for X. And so as you can see, the columns are automatically updated that I'm owed $5. It shows the accurate front-end account and the total expenses. And let's try it the other way around as well. So let's say the other day, Bob bought cookies for the apartment. Let's say that was also $10, and this time he paid for it. And so this time I'll be the one owing him $5 instead. And so I charge that, and then it automatically shows that on my account. And once I actually send him the Venmo or the Zelle payment over, then I can mark on my side of the app that I've now paid him, or mark as paid. And it'll essentially take off my balance, and then I'll basically be settled up with him. A few challenges I ran into was actually syncing up the actual expenses with the columns. So basically automatically updating the fact that I owe him 5 or he owes me 5, etc. And also, so that was some challenges that I ran into but was able to figure out. And I guess one more thing that Lovable recently added was like their own database. So you can basically code, like instead of using Supabase on top, it's basically back-end and front-end all in one. So it's pretty unique how they're expanding into that. But yeah, that's kind of my app.
Can you show a little bit more of like the beginning process of this? How do you start something Lovable? Like, does it show your prompts or like what you did to create this?
Yes. So on the left side here, yeah, so over here, I basically have all my prompts I started off with, and then it basically manages the back end over here, and then it kept prompting more and more, and then got to an end product at the end.
And so at one point where you're like, this isn't updating real time, make it update real time.
Yeah, I think this was, let's see. Yeah, I was getting a few bugs here. So I basically showed the error to it, and it recognized what the error was, and basically fixed the like infinite recursion happening in the back end and everything.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's your major?
Finance.
You're in finance. Have you programmed before?
No.
Okay.
It's the first time about coding, or like using these tools.
And you started this last week?
I started this today.
You started this today?
Yeah.
Awesome. Great
And
job.
apparently this company actually has like $100 million valuation, and I guess I was able to code it in a day, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, as we all know, there's a lot more to making a company than just
Yeah.
building the app,
Sure,
right? But
sure.
but pretty cool. I'm impressed. Yeah, good job. Thumbs up.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions? Quick. Blake was sweating when I told him you guys all could build a school next week.
Still sweat. Please don't.
All right. Hey everyone, my name is Josh. Last week I pitched Uprising again, which was the textbook sharing platform. I was able to build it this week, so really excited to walk you guys through it. I already have an account, so let's just log in here once I've already joined the Uprising. So it opens up straight to my dashboard. This is going to show the textbooks that I own through purchasing. So if we kind of walk through some of the tabs, obviously I'm a part of the Texas community. If I wanted to join a different community, so if I had an email verified from that institution, I would be able to do that. But obviously, like the main sort of power of this platform was supposed to be the marketplace to get the textbooks. So what I was able to build, you can see here, these are the textbooks which are offered on the platform. I would be able to hit share pool. Part of the moat that I wanted to build, at least for this platform, was that you would have to purchase credits that would then purchase the item. So that way, instead of just having like a one-to-one thing where you put in cash, there's some sort of moat there that I was able to build. So that's what I prompted Cursor to do, which is what I used to build this. So for example, if I wanted to get this data structures book, the original price was obviously $180. My share was $18. I end up saving this amount of money, and to complete the purchase, I go here. So it'll redirect me to the confirmation page, which is great. So I paid my 18 credits. If I view it in my dashboard, I lost the 18 credits right here from my, allotted amount. And then I can open up the textbook here. Once I actually get licensing and things like that, I could put stuff in. But this is where it would appear. It is also meant to be this way so that it kind of avoids the whole sharing portion. Again, it makes it a little bit harder for people to just share accounts and things like that. Outside of that, I did kind of want to add more to the Uprising portion of it as well. So there's since it's a for students, by students sort of idea, there are proposals that active members can put out just to kind of reduce the fees or maybe put things that they want to pass, since it is, again, like a for students, by students rebellion. And that was what I was able to build through Cursor to kind of walk you through some of the prompts and stuff here. I had a long conversation with Cursor to kind of build the program. For me, like again, as a finance major, I hadn't built anything at all. Like I didn't even know how to open a file in Terminal. So this was like literally from step 0.0 to getting it built out. And I think I learned a lot.
Super cool. Really good job. Maybe you could put in like just open source books or something to start with the demo
Sure.
stuff, to get going. And then, have you ever talked to any like book publishers about this? Like,
Yeah, I talked with one of my aunts who actually works at Pearson. She said that they lose like a ton of money to students not getting books, but they kind of lodge for that. But they do have partnerships with like universities directly to subsidize it. But they like, it's something that they're trying to address. It's just right now, like they make a decent amount of money on scalping the kids that do end up paying. But it is sort of a niche that they can go into.
yeah.
She was surprised I was even buying textbooks at all, which is what I said last week.
Wow. Like,
It's also interesting, I'm sure y'all are familiar with Chegg. Chegg started out as a textbook marketplace in like 2012, 2010. So there's a bunch of podcasts. I think Mike Maples Jr. has one with the original founder of Chegg, where the founding story of it's so awesome. He, like started University of Iowa, and like I would go if you get serious about this, like at least go listen to their history and where they kind of misstepped and what they were learning. And obviously it's 13 years later, so maybe it's time for the Uprising.
right.
Cool, man. It's awesome.
Yeah. Great job. And then I had one I forgot, but I can't remember what that. So yeah, really good job. That's great.
how about just get people's books from here? Like, who's got books you want to get rid of and buy? Nobody? No.
But yeah, I'm CJ. Last week I presented, or I pitched Snipper AI, where the problem is, hold on, so I gotta lock in here. Oh, you have to see my screen now?
Yep.
Okay, last week I pitched Snipper AI, where the problem is content creators are like, right now, just people who kind of yap to the camera. In order to get a certain amount of volume out, there is a ton of editing that's done. It's very meticulous and granular. So that includes cutting out audio gaps, removing your stutters, and selecting which takes of sentences you want to push to the final cut. What I did was I built Snipper AI, which kind of comes from a creator's POV, and it's an opinionated way to like have this edited through like one pipeline. So pretty much what you do is you have a video that you upload to it. So for example, I could upload this video right here, which is a test. Oh shit. I'm gonna record one right now. Hi, my name is CJ. I go to UT Austin. I'm like a computer science major. And I'm this would be a lot cleaner and smoother. Yeah, so it's as simple as this. You just drop the video in there. It uploads to a media bucket, and then you start the AI processing once that's done. And the processing takes a while, so if you have any questions, I think it's a better time to ask while it does process.
Do you have any that are already processed?
What's up?
Are there any you already uploaded that are processed?
Yeah, I'll have to find like the before, though. That's the issue. It's like I have afters, right?
Weird sound.
And y'all can't hear it.
Do you know how to work it? No, looks like your audio. No, well, don't stress about your audio. All right, so is that one other one processing?
Say that again?
Is that other one processing?
Can you say that again?
Is that other one processing?
No, I actually closed out, so it stopped.
Okay. Well, tell us what that would have.
So what that would look like is, first off, it's going to segment your video into takes, right? So it would take, pretty much the takes are separated by audio gaps. So the audio gaps between me stuttering and the actual completed sentence were not significant enough to be segmented into takes. So what it's going to do is, okay, it's going to take it as one take, transcribe it, and through those transcriptions, we're going to take pretty much like cross sections of like, wait, I'm tripping. It's going to split it into 4 takes. Into 4 takes. It's going to segment it into 4 parts, or 3 parts, being hi, my name is, hi, my name is, hi, my name is CJ, I go to UT Austin, blah, blah, blah. And then we're going to, you know, pretty much just take the cross sections of those, be like,
Just
hey,
didn't delete the first 2.
this is like 50% similar and 50% the size. It's probably a stutter. Remove those first 2. The other cases where, you know, it's just audio gaps and takes. Let's say I said, I hit the gym today, I hit arms today, or I was ripping chest today. It would actually take in your facial expressions, hand expressions. I use like Google Media Pipe and Deepface, and kind of measure the variation in those and give each clip a score and choose the best one to push to the final production. I don't know why the hell it's not working right now. It's pretty cool, but I think it's probably not gonna like, get fully done today.
Awesome. Well, it's super cool. I love seeing you guys pitch ideas and then go build them. That's a big part of what I'm hoping that you all take away from this class is that you have the ability to go take something, this idea, and both talk about it, explain it to other people, and then turn it into something real.
What's the tech behind the video editing part?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a big ass Python pipeline. It's like,
Cool.
yeah, I mean,
What's pipeline?
pretty much the system I designed. So like each part is just like, you know, I guess a Python method. It passes on data.
Wait, but
whether
is
it's
this
like
cursor?
Yeah, this is Cursor. I kind of built the pipeline myself on the front end and like connecting the pipeline to, you know, the back, connecting that back end, I guess, to the front end was like mostly Cursor. I used VO to actually make like the front end designs. And I kind of copied the Framer landing page. I don't know if you noticed that. But yeah, most of the front end stuff is Cursor, infrastructure and stuff was like mostly.
What's your major?
What's up?
What's your major?
Computer science.
Okay, and so you've obviously programmed before.
Yeah.
How is this? Have you done much of this in other classes? Like, are you allowed to use these tools?
Nah, I was actually, it's kind of funny, this was my capstone. I was interning at Meta this summer, and we had like a capstone we could build, like a custom project, and this was kind of it, and I don't know, I'm pretty passionate about it. I mess with it. I don't work on it too much, like, you know, outside of that now, but it did force me to explore like different Python libraries, like machine learning models and all that, and I thought it would be super cool to show off, and I think eventually it could get to market.
Awesome.
So you did not build this in the last 7 days? Okay, good.
All right.
It was blood, sweat, and tears.
All right, that's good to know. Yeah, it's still cool, and I'm still glad you showed it to us. So that is the spirit of it. You can't get a thumbs up if you didn't build it in a week.
Oh, no, good.
But good stuff. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Not
cool.
that- well, you're not. It's like, okay. Can't give you a thumbs up. They have to get 1 thumbs up the whole semester, like for a pitch or for a demo. That's part of passing, which is like you pressing.
It's an unofficial thing that you give them.
Hello?
Yeah, that was an unofficial thumbs up.
Hey, I'm Chris, and I built an app, I built a web app that basically just like goes through your week and like suggests you close, because I find myself like just putting on whatever because I don't like put that much time into it, but I realize that I don't put much time into it, but I also have the desire to look better, so I end up just kind of looking like crap and be like, oh, you know, I could have looked better throughout the day. So you basically just put in your schedule, so you can like add events here. I've already added some, so like my classes, obviously, and if like you had a job fair as well, like you have a wardrobe, so you basically all the clothes you already have, but also, you have an LLM that would basically suggest to you like ideally what you should wear. It tries to use things from your wardrobe already, but it would also suggest things you don't have, and you add those onto your wish list, and in your wish list, it would like tell you where you can go to actually get those things. Because a lot of the time, people say, oh yeah, you should get this and this, and I'm like, oh, I don't know, where's the best place to actually get those, you know? So, yeah, it's really simple. Also, you can save outfits if you really like them. I just put like a placeholder image here, just some image, and then you can also post them on the Discover page and have a caption and stuff. So you can actually, if you find other things that you really like from other people, then you can actually save it, and if you don't have those items as well, when you save it, it would go to the wish list again as well. So, yeah, that's my whole project, basically, just making it easier to pick out clothes.
Great, sounds similar and in line with one of the other ones we saw and heard about. What did you use to build this?
I use Lovable.
Lovable?
Yeah.
Have you used it before?
Yeah, my previous project.
Yeah, and so I think this is a great job. One of my pieces of feedback is to try to think not just about how you can use Lovable to write it, but how can you make the app more AI forward also?
Mm-hmm.
And so, for example, like when I see like the form where it's like add your calendar event, and I'm like basically manually going and doing all these things, I'm kind of like expecting AI to do that, like to look at my calendar, to pull in my events, to use a picture to look at my wardrobe, whatever it might be, without me having to type it in.
Yeah, I tried syncing into my Google Calendar, but what it did specifically is synced it only to my Google Calendar, so every single user would just get my calendar instead of being able to like hook it up to theirs. So I tried to do that, but it didn't work.
Good. Well, great. Well, so yeah, that's you're thinking that way.
Yeah.
You know, there's a really funny story. It's a true story. There's a guy named Paul Buchheit who created Gmail, and Gmail is one of the most famous of the Google 20% projects, where they for a time that everyone at Google could spend 1 day per week, 20% of their time working on side projects or anything they want, and this person built Gmail. And so he built the demo, and he was showing it to everybody, and everyone thought it was really cool because at the time searching email was really hard and slow, and so being able to search your email really fast was like the whole feature of the original Gmail. It's like, look, I searched it, like it's really fast. And then he showed the demo to like the CEO of Google, and they were like, awesome, this is great. Like, can I try it? And he's like, well, no, it only does my email. that was like the first demo. So yeah, that's fine. That's the way it starts. You'll figure that out. Awesome. Good job. Extra clap. Really good clap. That's Techstars clap in case you. The text, that's the bit. I got that from Techstars. The single clap.
My buddy's a principal. He does the same thing with schools.
Yeah.
So we do it
Oh, nice.
the
The slow clap's good.
Power clap.
The slow clap is good for getting everyone to like quiet down. I'll show her quick. Stand there. I'll show her quickly. Okay. Yeah, that is also good. That would be great. And that's a great topic. How are you doing? In the spirit of the Google 20% time, so I explained it to my team, we're doing AI Fridays at Capital Factory, where on Friday mornings, everybody's all hands and everybody has about an hour. We don't use all of it every time, but they demo how are they using AI to make their jobs better. And then I'm trying to get everybody to spend the rest of the afternoon working on projects, although they tend to want to go do their job. All right, we're ready.
All right, hello, my name is Agulia, and this is another fashion app. So I think it's a great segue into it because we already heard a pitch in one demo. So this is not like other apps. We try to incorporate every single aspect into it, all of your preferences, and then going through different outfits, and then using OpenAI like API key to web scrape to find personalized matches, and then being able to put together the entire fit, and then finally to be able to actually purchase these outfits. It would have like links to every outfit. So to start off, you can pick your gender and like any colors that you prefer, and then also depending on like where you want to go for your style, you can choose casual, comfy, going out, cute, and all of that. So now you have the closet section, and instead of going on Hinge and swiping left and right on a person, you can swipe left and right in clothes and trying to figure out the best version of yourself and how to present yourself in the best way possible. So you can do that for your tops, bottoms, and shoes. And then once you have that, you have a closet of all the outfits that you like the most. And then from here, you can actually put together your outfit. So you can mix and match like your tops, your pants, and your bottoms. And once you think that's good, you can save your outfit. And then now you can have like links to every single outfit.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Let's clap. I feel like we have a clothing startup forming here somehow. There's definitely obviously some real demand. Okay, so what do you do with the outfit once you have it?
It like provides links to not just like one option of where you can find it, but multiple.
To
So you
buy
can have
it.
different pricing options
Yeah.
to buy.
And so these aren't clothes I have. These are clothes I want to get.
Yes.
Things. And then how do the clothes end up in there? Do you think like do you just like is this like do you know what affiliate links are? Do you like make money off like the affiliate links off like kind of just linking for them to go buy it or?
Yeah, like maybe partnerships with the companies that like sell like big brands like Hollister and stuff. That's like very popular. So link it to those companies. So you can make money off of that.
Super cool. Like, you have any questions? And what's your major?
Computer science.
And what'd you build this in?
I built it like in GitHub.
In
Like I
Go?
deployed it on.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I deployed it on GitHub on stack.
Sorry, you're kind of like whispering the end of it.
I deployed it on GitHub static pages.
Okay, cool. But so then what's the, like, how did you build it?
Yeah, so for the backend, it uses like an open API key to be able to web scrape. So based off of like the initial preferences, it just like scours like through the internet and tries to find outfits that match that. And then it also is able to find like links to like different stores that sell those outfits. That was the backend. The front end was like difficult for me because I usually just code in backend. The front end, I had to start off with Figma to design like an aesthetic like page. And I showed it to all my friends. I did a few designs. I showed it to my friends to see which one they liked, and this one they liked the most. And then I like coded it based off of that. I like sent my Figma designs to ChatGPT, and then it generated the front end code.
Got it. Okay, so that was for the front end code. How did you generate the back end code?
The backend code, I have like you can have an open API account and then get like the API key. So then I just coded that using JavaScript.
Oh, got it. I'm not that
Such a
familiar.
2025 questions. You hand wrote all the backend code?
Or I like.
No,
I
it sounds like, I think she plugged into almost like an API for a lot of it.
Yeah, you can use like an API key and then write prompts for it, and then send that to to Open API, and then
Yeah.
it will output.
I think we're just not familiar with Open API, so I think you get my head around that part. But super cool. Yeah, awesome. All right, thumbs up. I gave everyone a heart, I think. Clap, right? All right, one more demo. All right, great, perfect. It's right on time. These are great. Good job, everybody.
Hi everyone, my name is Samara. I'm a textiles and apparel major, so basically fashion. I created this app called Now Motivation. I'm also a runner, and it's pretty much meant for if you're running a race, you can send out a link to like your friends, family, etc. They can record a little like audio message, and then they can choose in which mile it'll play for you, so you get that like personalized motivation throughout your race. This is like the landing page. You can select like the type of race you're running, or you can do like custom miles if you're just running like 10 miles or like a random amount of miles. For the demo, I'll do one just because that's quicker. But say you're running a 1 mile race, you get this like link which you can send out to like your friends and family. So say they get the link. And then, say my best friend's running the race, so I'll just be like, this is coming from like your best friend. And then you can select the mile. If you do like a marathon or like another distance, you have other amount of miles. And then you can pretty much like record your voice message. So I don't know if you're watching.
Oh, wow.
So okay, just recording now. You can just be like, hey, good luck in your race. We're almost there. And then you upload the message. And then my best friend using the app, she gets the message here. And then she can click start race. The idea of this would be for it to be able to like pair up with whether you're wearing like an Apple Watch or something like that, so like your GPS can track like which miles you're on. For the demo, when I was building this, it suggested for it to be like 50. It'll take 15 seconds for you to run the mile, just because you would have to wait a couple of minutes. But if you click start race, I think it'll take like 15 seconds for you to get to the mile, and then it'll play a little audio message. I don't know if you know what it is.
I don't know if we got audio before.
When I
It
tried
might-
it worked on my computer. We just couldn't
Yeah,
plug
it might
in.
not work through the speakers here.
Yeah, but it pretty much plays like your little audio message, and if you have several different miles, each person can like record a little audio for they can select which mile they want to be part of.
How did you build it?
In Lovable,
Yeah. And you ever built anything like this before? Yeah. Blake?
I just think it's a super cool idea.
I love this.
I feel
think
like all
it's an
the
awesome idea.
nonprofits could do it. Like when you donate to somebody doing a 5K, like record a message that, you know, obviously the hard part of getting into their Apple Watch and all that, but yeah, it'd be like a little present with each mile marker you hit of surprise and delight. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think this is super clever, and like the core concept is actually awesome and like really fun. Maybe another way to think about it, since the GPS part is a little harder, maybe you can find a way to do it. But also like right now it's like I'm listening, but then it's like all silence, and then something.
Yeah.
So like imagine what if like I made a playlist for my run, and people could see the playlist, and instead of thinking of inserting it at miles, they could insert it between songs or at certain points in the playlist. And now it's kind of more obvious where it's going, and then I just listen to the playlist. And while I'm listening to the playlist, like my friend comes in and is like, awesome, like keep going, whatever, right? And then you can even maybe have like celebrity things where like I might like donate to the thing to put like somebody else's voice in there, you know, like cheering them on or saying something else, generated with AI or whatever. But super cool. I actually think it's really, really clever, and I think there's a bunch you could actually do with this to make it that would be really interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah, great job. All right, any more demos? Is that it? It's great. You're right on time. Awesome. I'm really impressed. I love seeing people. I mean, it's great to have CS majors in here building stuff. It's great to see people that have never built something before building something. Like, I'm really impressed with those two. Yeah, it's like, and again, I love seeing you guys pitch something and then be able to go build it. I think all things are good, but that's a great way to go do it as well. In order to get a thumbs up, again, I do want you to build it in 1 week, because part of what I want you to see is what you can build in 1 week. I want you to push yourself to see what you can build in 1 week, so I want you to try different things. But this is awesome. Like, this is great. I'm really happy with how this is going. So I hope you can keep it up. Like, this is what we're doing for the rest of the semester. Like every week, we're pitching, and then we're gonna demo stuff we built, and then we're gonna talk to someone awesome and hear about like what they built, and then let them talk and let them maybe answer questions, and then and let them particularly talk about how AI is affecting it. So that's why I'm super glad to have Blake here today. Blake is one of the most successful entrepreneurs and CEOs at Capital Factory that we've ever invested in. He's the founder and CEO of Aceable. I know all of you know what Aceable is, and we've talked about it already. When I first met Blake, he was introduced to me by another entrepreneur who I really respect, Andrew Busey, I believe, who had said, you know, I met this guy and I think about investing, I think what he's doing is interesting, and Andrew's really smart. Usually anybody he introduces me to, like, I want to go talk to. And I sat, this was before we opened Capital Factory. It was a place. I mean, we just were like, kind of like doing a summer program. We didn't have a place. So every Sunday, I would do office hours at this coffee shop, Lola Savannah, out in Westlake. And I like literally had like a link that got published in the newspaper, like where anybody could sign up for 15 minutes with me at the coffee shop. And I would just sit in the coffee shop for a couple hours on Sunday and just like meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting. And I believe that's where we met, is Blake shows up. And he's like, literally you talk about people like pitching an idea on the back of a napkin, and it was Blake sitting in the coffee shop pitching me the idea for what became Aceable on the back of the napkin. And at the time, it was a little bit different. It was, but still fundamentally based on the same concepts. It was about, the big thing at the time we were saying as we sat down was mobile. Mobile was new and big, being able to build apps and build things on phones, being able to make things that you could do anywhere and in a small bite-sized format instead of like traditional sit down and watch a video or read a book kind of format. And so the original idea that he came to me was about basically take every book and turn it into an app. Take every book and turn that content into something you don't have to read as a book, but you can like just take a little bit at a time. And that was a pretty good idea, but to be honest, like he had trouble getting it going, like getting it to like really take off. And then he honed in, and I know there were I'm sure there were other, I can think of other people that he was talking to at the time, but I'm sure he came up with most of the ideas, and there were other people that helped, and like he realized like, oh, I'm going to focus on this one thing. He focused on driver's ed. And the brilliance I remember of that was just that it was not just like taking something content and making it like more digestible, easier to use, easier to consume. Like taking something you had to do that you didn't really want to do. You know, like everybody has to do driver's ed, and nobody really wants to go do driver's ed. And when I did driver's ed, it was literally like sit and watch 8 hours of videos. It was like really boring. They not only did they turn it into a successful app and like solution, which was like, all right, you're gonna have to go do this state by state, but in what we think of as like a David beats Goliath kind of way, like they started out as a startup and then they ended up acquiring driversed.com, right? And so that's kind of like, it's like when that's like somebody starting out selling books and like buying Amazon, or buying Barnes and Noble. So they've been super successful. Again, definitely one of the most successful companies we've worked with, and they've raised, I don't know how much money, probably more than $100 million, a lot of money. I'm sure can't wait to see what happens next. And he's also just a great person, a great CEO. I know people love working for him. He's beloved in the Capital Factory community too. So I'll stop ranting, but I want to introduce Blake, and he's going to. We're going to play Blake's pitch from looks like South by Southwest.
First of all, thank you. So today, I would like to introduce you to Aubrey. Aubrey is our first customer. She's a 15-year-old from Sugar Land, Texas. She loves swimming, she loves Chinese chicken salad from Cheesecake Factory, and she loves Snapchat. Someday she wants to be a doctor, but before Aubrey ever gets to be a doctor, the one thing she really wants to do is to learn how to drive, to get that driver's license. Well, between Aubrey and Aubrey and her driver's license is driver's education that's online that looks like this. All right, her computer's nicer than that one, but this is what the screen looks like. So the way driver's ed works today, because I know most of us are beyond this point, teenagers can take driver's ed online. They spend 32 hours in an experience that looks, no joke, like this. This is a competitor screenshot. And they pay $100 to $150 for this experience. The problem is, there's many problems, but the major problem that everybody in this room should be able to empathize with is this. According to the Center for Disease Control, traffic accidents are still the highest cause of death for people 34 and under. But yet the way we teach driver's ed and people to drive hasn't been changed in 15 years. To me, that's unacceptable. So let's imagine a solution that actually met the needs of Aubrey and her peers. Because today we're at the baseline. The solutions work, they receive a state approval, then they go to market, and Aubrey can click through those screens and she'll get her driver's license, so they work. But imagine a solution that was easy to use and understand, that made a real-world impact. What I think is worth noting here is today there are free apps in the App Store that teach foreign languages better than we teach teenagers how to drive. Those apps are free. Driver's ed ones are $150. It's insane. What about fitting her lifestyle? Aubrey's on the go nonstop. What if we could offer a solution that lets Aubrey learn where she learns best and when she learns best? I mean, heaven forbid this is an enjoyable experience. For 32 hours, how can we make it personal, attractive, and fun? And lastly, how do we leave a user with a feeling of being smart and powerful? That electric feeling when you ace a test, imagine a solution that does that. Well, let me introduce you to Aceable. Our mobile education platform is engaging. We use memes to keep smiles on faces. We use animation that looks a lot like Family Guy. Over the entire course is a 32-hour story that actually reads a lot better than the encyclopedia-like text our competitors use. It's effective. We use spacing. We use other forms of teaching that are proven to be effective. This idea of cognitive overload. No screen in our course is over 500 characters. Lastly, it is everywhere. We started mobile first. We started with the first iOS app for Texas that was on iPhone and iPad. Today, we are launching our web course. This means Aubrey can start driver's ed in the car while her mom's driving. She's not driving and doing driver's ed, I promise. And then she gets home, she can resume her progress on the computer. We are the first to offer this. So what does this all mean? To date, we have 30,000 students taking Aceable driver's ed. This is since last May. So the next question, well, do they like it? Well, we have a net promoter score of 80, meaning 4 out of 5 strongly recommend the course to their friends. We've reached the top 5 grossing education app charts. And lastly, just this January, we launched our defensive driving course. I don't know, maybe some of you got speeding tickets in the room. This is to keep those speeding tickets off of your record in the same convenient, fun, engaging way. Where we're going, this is why I work so hard, because I love this. We're gonna keep expanding geographically. We've started with Texas. There's a lot of other states that'll be great to expand to. Continuing education is really no different than what we're talking about in the driver's ed realm. Think about OSHA for safety workers. Then we get into test prep. Aubrey's gonna be taking tests for the next 10 years of her life. And lastly, corporate training. The team that's delivering it, myself, I spent 6 years at Ernst & Young designing and delivering training. I'm really excited about the gentleman on the left side of the screen. He's Danny Maddox. He formerly ran marketing for our biggest competitor. He started on Monday as our VP of marketing. And lastly, our engineering team is led by Mark Powell and Kevin Newt. Together, we have a team of 14. We're Aceable. We're driving education forward. I'd love to talk to you all, and I'd drink tickets at this table over here afterwards. Thank you.
Awesome. Blake, come on up, stand up, and tell us more about.
Yeah, imagine if I went into earphones and found a video from 10 years ago.
It was awesome.
Oh, that's hilarious. Not a whole lot's changed, honestly. We've just expanded a lot more. So I really appreciated the structure of the pitches. I feel like I used to spend 10 years ago every weekend in this building, many of them with Josh, practicing a pitch. I think they've become more story-oriented since then. I'm glad I still had Aubrey. Totally forgot about her. She was like a friend's.
I mean, you had it. You had the story.
Yeah, I had it. I was like, actually, thank you. I had it. I didn't know if that was still there. So I think since then, look, I guess I'm kind of curious. If you took Aceable, raise your hand. Man, thank you. It's so cool. It's so cool. Because I
mean, it's cool for me too. Where I'm like, guess who's coming in next week? Blake from Aceable. Like, who's taking Aceable? Like.
Because like in this square footage, there were weeks, months, like a couple years where like existence as a company was questioned like every day. So the fact that 10 years later, y'all were able to take it and hopefully not hate it, we'll roll with that.
Honestly, like everything we've invested in, Aceable is one of the most popular things where I can talk to anybody and they probably know what it is. Right, you know, like they probably have some data to drive.
Yeah, so I think since then and what's up there was a slide of like what's next. So the things that have happened since 2018, we took the technology we have built, the instructional design processes that we had created and launched into real estate education. If you want to get a real estate license, for instance, you have to take a course. Unlike driver's ed, that's 32 hours that y'all had to experience. A real estate course is 180 hours. So that was a huge undertaking. Since then, we also launched into, in the last 2 years, insurance education, real estate education. And the way we look at it is there's all these courses or training that you have to take. And typically, and it starts with driver's ed, I don't know how applicable this was for a lot of you, but we ran a survey one time and 50% of our driver's ed students take driver's ed so they can drive to a job. Does that resonate with y'all, or does that sound like made up from some other kids? All right, I see some nods, some hands. So I think as we continue to build forward, we think about types of jobs, economic empowerment that require a license, and how can we be the solution there? Because if I was going back to like y'all's stories of like sitting in classrooms, compliance education is mind-numbingly boring. Like sitting in old instructionally designed online courses, like you want to poke your eyeballs out. Like how can we create a product experience that's better than that? And at the end of it, you get a job. Like, you get that economic freedom that you're looking for to provide for yourself, for your family, etc. So since then, more verticals. We now have about 175 people on the Aceable team. We're majority in Austin, but we do have offices across the United States. We have raised a lot of money, $115-ish million to date. However, probably unlike a lot of the companies that are here and come through here, we are profitable. So we do, Josh was like, you need to do a pitch. I'm like, I don't really have a pitch because I haven't had to raise money in a long time because we make our own money, and it's pretty fantastic. But yes, I have a lot of stories. The one that Josh is talking about, Josh tells it that way. I will tell it slightly different because I think it's really important for y'all to hear. I first would just ask, like, who wants to be an entrepreneur here? Pretty much everybody. There's a quote, there's this guy, David Senra, has a podcast called Founders. Has anyone heard of it? Highly, highly, highly recommend it. But there's this quote that excellence is your ability to take pain. Right? And that's what entrepreneurship is. It's fun, it can be glamorous, you can go up to stages and come talk to people, but your success is so tied to your ability to take pain and create luck. And then hopefully, yeah, you make some good decisions along the way and make the ones that matter, because you'll also make a lot of bad ones. And so I share this super fast, and then we can get into, I can demo things, we can do Q&A, whatever we want to do. Josh, before Josh and I had the meeting about bite-sized pieces of content, I was going to start a gamified, or a news game that was a mobile app. And this was the first idea that I had. It'd be a trivia game where it involved the news, and like it might be a headline, it'd be missing a word, and you had to choose, and you could like play against friends. That was my $1 billion idea. Clearly amazing. And that's when I met with Josh at Lola Savannah, and it was like 8:30 at night on a Sunday. Josh, I mean, he's a saint for being there at all and meeting with strangers on 8:30 on Sunday. But within about 1 minute of me telling him that I'm going to create this news trivia game, he says to me, well, I invested in this company called Crank. There are some stellar founders. They created a news trivia game. It didn't go very well. They just sold it to Disney for peanuts. Tell me why you're going to do better than them. I'm like, I don't know. This was like 60 seconds into this meeting that I had on a calendar for 2 months. I was so excited to meet with Josh because like, that's my like wedge into success. What are you talking to somebody about?
I'm way nicer now than I was then.
He is way nicer now
way
too.
Nicer.
It's like, what do you talk to somebody for the next 29 minutes in that scenario? I'm like, well, what did they learn? Like, what could I do different than, and he's just, you know, like very curt answers, like wasn't rude, but also like, sorry, dude. So that was my first Josh experience. I left that meeting and was like, I need to go back to Ernst & Young and like beg for my job back. Like this entrepreneurship thing was a horrible idea. Meanwhile, this was my third bad idea in a row after quitting my job that, you know, my mom said, are you sure you want to quit that 6-figure job? It's like, yeah, I got this. So, but I got back to work, and later Andrew introduced me to Josh, and we had a meeting upstairs, and it was like night and day difference, because I actually had the semblance of maybe a decent idea. I had social proof from somebody Josh respected, and the meeting went much, much, much better, but we still had a lot of work to do.
I'll admit too, like, I mean, and just to keep this in mind, like, I probably was having a bad day that Sunday night. You know, like, it's like, I remember some of those Sunday nights I would get there and I'd be like, fuck, why did I do this on a Sunday night? Like, oh my God, like, you know, like, and I'm meeting people and Blake obviously turned out to be a huge winner and a great home run, but some of the people, it was posted in the newspaper, some people I met with were like, really crazy, you know, like, it was like, oh my God, I'm wasting my time. And so, yeah, I mean, but you gotta realize whoever you're with might just be having a bad day. It's not your fault too.
But it's like, he was so generous with his time to do it, just like he's so generous with you all too, but like, it's how you're gonna respond in that moment that is ultimately going to be necessary in how successful you can be. Because most of us myself, like 7 out of 10 times after that meeting, I probably would have been like, all right, let's cut the cord. Like, this is too hard. This hurts. My ego, is too negatively impacted. But that's just like one of dozens and dozens and dozens of stories that I have, and I'm happy to share all of them with you. So I can demo things, I can answer questions. I defer to y'all, whatever is most valuable for you.
Let's go to you guys for questions.
So why did you raise so much money? It seems like a lot, and then depending on the time.
Yeah. I appreciate the question. Why do we raise so much money? The number is misleading for like 2 reasons. So we raised like $750K or something from 100 angel investors via Capital Factory. I went to any meeting I could possibly get with somebody that might write a check. That is hustle. And they have $5,000 check, take $5,000 check. $10,000, take $10,000. The biggest check that I got in the $750,000 was $25,000. And that's a lot of meetings because like you got to have like 10 times that many meetings, if not more than that, to get to that output. Then we raised.
Usually takes more than 1 meeting to get a check.
What's that?
And it takes more than 1 meeting to get a check usually.
It finally, as we got momentum, and as I said, this was like the greatest moment. It happened on the 16th floor, and I remember it was like we were going to raise 300,000. We got to 275, and I remember someone saying like, "Is there room to invest?" Thank you so much. And I was like, "Wait, you just asked me if there's room?" I didn't say this out loud. I'm like, I've had to beg every single human, and now you're like, "Is there room?" It's like I've been waiting to hear something like, "Yes, there might be room. Let me check." So then it started building momentum. So anyway, back to your original question. Then we met an angel investor via Capital Factory, wrote a $400,000 check. It's like, oh, that's a lot easier. Do it that way. Then we ended up raising, and there's time between all this. This is from 2013 to 2016. We raised a small round with Silverton here in Austin, and then we raised another. So from to get to through 2015, we'd raised about $4 million. Then Josh mentioned in 2018, we bought our biggest competitor. That's when we had to raise a lot more money. So we bought them for $65 million. And then we had to raise $45 million in order to do that.
Can you explain what that means? So that's getting to private equity at that point, right?
That was technically quote unquote growth equity is what these guys like to call themselves. So that was debt plus equity to go buy our biggest competitor that was doing $45 million in revenue and $7 million in profit, and we were doing $14 million in revenue. It's like, that's not supposed to happen. But we did that, and then the last raise we did was we raised $50 million, but the majority of that was secondary, which means the investors buying shares from existing shareholders, which the reason we did it was to have this new private equity investor on our cap table, which basically meant we had a relationship with them because we wanted to go do some M&A that was going to be really big, go buy companies for hundreds of millions of dollars. So we needed access to more capital.
So really commonly, as you're growing, the VCs come in, and then at some point, if you go on the stereotypical movie story, you go public or something like that. But much more commonly, some other investors come in and buy out the first investors and take it to the next level, right? And that's kind of what they're saying here, is these much bigger investors came in, bought out, maybe not all of them, but a lot of the early investors, got their money back. It had been maybe been 5 or 6 years. And then now they have this new partner who not only bought, has a big investor, but if they were hey, we want to buy this company, we need another $50 million. They're like, okay, cool, we got money for you, go buy them and make even more value.
Yeah, it's just it becomes a different game. On one hand, and on the other hand, it's still build a product that people love. And figure out the smartest, cheapest way to get it to them. That part doesn't go away. Same things you guys are talking about here and now, what problem are you going to solve? That still has to be the core. You just have these different levers that you never had before. But no, we didn't necessarily need to raise 80-ish of that $1 million in order to, we didn't really need to raise probably 100 of it to create the product and like the economics of the business are better than that, etc.
So I know you talk a lot about like the different ideas you had, maybe some quote unquote bad ones.
Yeah.
But how did you figure out like what are the bad ideas? What like when did you know that Isabel was the one that was gonna be a big idea?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's really hard. In some cases, it was the market. So, okay, the very first idea was to create a mobile charades game. I convinced some friends to invest in that. I tried to learn everything I could to go create a mobile charades game, and I had Lovable back then. Like, jeez, it would have been incredible. I tried to figure out what the business model was going to be. It's like there's a saying that I learned pre-Capital Factor. I'm sure it exists somewhere. If you're a seed stage startup and you have a slide that says we make money 5 different ways, you don't make money anyways. And I very much had that slide. It's like, oh, and we make it this way and that way. It's like, no, you don't actually make it anyway. So I went from mobile charades to a video marketplace to the news trivia game to trivia games for nonfiction books to gamified learning. Not gamified learning. It was gamified e-commerce. Speaking of shopping startups, it was you would see a pair of women's designer shoes, and if you could guess the designer, there would then be a link, and you'd get points, and you'd play a whole game around it. But I think the question that you're asking is like, is there demand and is there a market and can you make money from it? So I launched probably half of those, including the first product I ever launched, which was taking a book. I was 28 at the time. I had a girlfriend, no kids, which is important and relevant to the next part. The first app I ever launched was to take books on pregnancy for men, like the dad or the expecting father, and turn them into trivia games. It's like, oh, that way the dad could learn all the things he needs to know by playing a game and doesn't have to read the book. So we launched it, super excited about it. First day we made $5. Has anybody ever sold something you've made? Maybe outside of like baked goods. Josh has done it a few times, yeah. Well, the first $5, the first dollar, I mean, it's such a cool feeling. It's an amazing feeling. 3 weeks later, when you're still making $5 and reality starts to sink in, it is not a very good feeling. So I think with the dad trivia game, and that's actually when I met Josh the second time, and the meeting was going well. We had people using it, but no one was giving us money. Let the market decide. But the faster, and especially now, you guys did it. Like within 1 week, you went from nothing, an idea, a concept, to a prototype. Yeah, they need a little bit more polishing to go try to sell, but like you should be able to validate, is there a there with your product so much more cheaply than you could 18 months ago, 12 months ago. It's wild. So I'd say like you can listen to advice. Right. Like you can listen to advice where you like get it in front of people. Are people pulling it out of you? Do people clamor for that experience? Are they pissed if you said you couldn't use it anymore? Like those are all the best indicators. Previously, it just had to be like, well, we're gonna spend 6 months, we're gonna build this thing, we're gonna try to like release it along the way and get these signs, but all of that was hard and expensive and took a long time. Is that helpful?
Yeah.
Yeah. Get it in people's hands.
Did you start?
Yeah.
So I'd assume like after your customers pass their driver's test, there's like no money left in them, or is there any strategy that you use to like get more value out of a customer before they churn?
Yeah, we have 2 ways. One, I don't know, some of you might have this today, maybe you had it when you were an A school student. We give you a discount if you opt into roadside assistance. And, you know, about 15,000 people have used it since we started it, but it does create an additional subscription revenue stream that helps us be more aggressive in customer acquisition up front. Then we have for, you know, the natural one that's like a bit of a gap because y'all have lived it. It would be like, inevitably you're gonna get a speeding ticket in your first couple years. It's like, we have that course obviously. And then what we're finding, especially more now, is our real estate, insurance, and mortgage courses. There are more 18, 19, 20-year-olds that are deciding to opt out of 4-year college and get a job. And those are $500 investments as opposed to, I won't remind you what you guys pay to go to UT, that gets you a license that you can start earning an income pretty quickly. So we're actually seeing more and more of this vocational training that we have the courses for lead to an extending from a teen customer base into these jobs.
Yeah, I mean,
But if you have other ideas, because you guys are my target customers, you got better ideas than me.
yeah, you know, with like births, it's great because you know baby's born, and then you got like you know when they're 1-year-old, you know when they're going to school, you know when they're graduating from school, you know like you can just time 20 years of stuff after this one thing that happened. So I think that's a really interesting point. Obviously, the more lifetime value you can get, you know, the better out of it.
And we've dabbled with like test prep, the idea of it, SAT prep, AP prep. There's like a timing question. If you get driver's license before that, then like maybe it would be a great extension. That's all obviously being disrupted right now with all sorts of interesting solutions that you all probably use.
So based off kind of some of the previous products you were talking about, you clearly have like gamification.
Yeah.
And going through April, like I can see there was like part of that at least in the product, but what stopped you from making it like a full out game? Like was there like legal stuff behind it? What stopped you from doing that?
That's a great question. It's the interesting thing about scaling a business. So, I mean, ultimately, the headline answer is focus. We decided not to focus on it, and the reason.
Let me say that a different way. You thought that it was not one of the things that was going to make it or break it for you. Like it wasn't going to kill you if you didn't do it.
Yeah, and there were other things that we
that were
had
gonna
to
kill you.
like. Yeah,
You had
so
to focus on.
it's like, should we go into real estate education and do the product work necessary to do that, or continue to invest on like the depth of the user experience with gamification, for instance? And one of the challenges that came up was in 2015, I couldn't raise money again. Well, I mean, we were burning a little bit of money. Nobody was real excited to invest in a driver's ed company. They're like, hey, prove to me that you can do this in one of these other educational verticals you keep talking about. So it's like,
Which, by the way, kind of showing your drive, but like, I remember us being like, imagine if you had all the driver's ed, and you're thinking like, that must be awesome. What if you were the driver's ed app for everybody? Huge win, that's amazing. And the venture capitalists were like, I don't think that's big enough.
yeah, and you could build like a $150 million revenue business doing that.
I was super excited about it, but
But
that
you
was
can't
kind of,
go
at the
anywhere
time,
from
that's
there.
what we were getting, right? Like, it was like, not quite big enough.
Yeah, so it wasn't, so then it was like, okay, we got to use resources to go into real estate. Then when 2018 we do this acquisition, like sounds fun to go buy a much bigger company, but now you have, they were 2 companies that were acquisitions. So you have your systems, you have company, part 1 of the new company you just bought, their systems, and their other systems. And we had to spend 4 years doing the most mundane engineering work, getting to one combined platform across all of our tech stack, which unfortunately meant fun, cool product innovation really got stalled. So really, up until these last 12 months, we kind of put product innovation on the back burner. But since then, we've brought it back. Right now, we are going pretty deep on tracking the mastery that you have throughout the process in order to tell you exactly what weaknesses you have and where you should go focus, which is like kind of becoming table stakes also for EdTech. You might hear that and you're like, really? That's your big product innovation? But it's a missing gap that we have right now that we're filling. And then from there, I think we start to see the foundation that we could gamify more. But yeah, I'm like, we could just rip off Duolingo's product roadmap, and be like fine for 3 years because they have such a strong product. It's kind of like, just do that.
Yeah. And then also, you know, I think it's just worth pointing out, like, back to that original slide of what the competition was like. Like, has anybody else caught up?
No.
Is that still the competition? Or
Yeah.
are they just dead?
No, it's generally that. Yeah.
Like, so it's just like, there's nobody pushing them to be better technically because the competition still is so terrible that they're still so awesome compared to it that yeah, that's just not the priority, even though yeah, it could be even more awesome.
Yeah, it's always a challenging trade-off that I make.
I find things from a non-technical background and someone that's also not technical developer, how you ended up finding technical talent for all those various ideas and then
Yeah. Yeah, so how did I find technical talent as a non-technical? So I was a solo founder. I tried to find the CTO, technical co-founder. Like my brain is just littered with awful stories. I had one for about 2.5 months. It ended horribly wrong. Jason Cohen, who you guys met last week, actually mediated the divorce between us, which led to me meeting Josh. Like, all these stories are just so interconnected. It's hilarious. I struggled. I would go to meetups. I would like try to network. I did raise money. I lived here. That is one of the reasons I needed to raise money early on, because like I couldn't build the product. I mean, I'll shit you not. It was like a Friday night, and I was like, I'm just gonna go on Code Academy and learn how to code. I'm gonna solve this problem. And like I couldn't build the JavaScript poker app in like level 1 of Code Academy, and I was like, all right, this isn't the solution.
If only you had level.
Right. I mean, and now I look at like the things I've built for Aceable using Cursor and using Claude Code. Like, I could build everything I've
So
ever
can you talk
come
about
up
that a
with.
little bit? Like, how are you using AI?
Yeah.
at
So
Aceable now, and how do you use it personally?
yeah. So I 6 months ago was like, all right, I'm just gonna go deep into AI, and for so like a big part of what we have to do is create content. Like, that's how we open up new markets. It's like, okay, you want to get into a real estate education market in California, you have to have state regulatory approved content in the state of California. Again, it's like 90 hours of content, which is like a textbook this big. So how are you going to write an on-brand textbook that's this big based on boring laws and make it entertaining? Well, I started learning everything about it to use like, okay, well, how do we use AI to do this? AI plus instructional design principles plus our writers. So it would historically take us about 40 hours to create 1 hour of course content. I now, through creating an AI workflow using Claude Code, now I kind of switched to Cursor a little bit more in GPT-5. I created the whole front end, back end to create and automate the content creation process. And I've done it myself. And I'm non-technical.
Everything yourself.
I've done it 100% myself. I have our internal teams are using all of these tools. I'm like the engineer, I'm the designer, I'm the product manager, I'm QA. And part of it's like, well, don't you have an engineering team of 45 people? I'm like, yeah, but they all like work 9 to 5 and they go in sprints and they need process. And I'm like, I just want it done tomorrow, so I'm gonna stay until midnight and do it.
So like, imagine you with that 10
Like,
years
right,
ago.
that's why I'm so envious of you all.
You were so driven. You were so, like.
You guys are on
you're
like the
trying so many
precipice of
things.
whatever you want to create, and I know because now I've like created it in pockets, and you all don't have families that I know of. Like, obviously you might have kids, and if you do, awesome. But like, I've got 3 kids. Like, I got to do bath time. You guys have such an advantage where it's like you got the tools, you got the drive. Like, you don't have a lot of people relying on you. I mean, you got brilliant ideas. God, I want to be in your seats. It's fun.
So what else are some of the things that what's another example of something you built?
Pretty much everything I've been doing is on the content creation side of our house.
The back end of creating?
Yeah, I can show you guys if you want to see. It's not like the
Yeah,
most
take your time for
exciting
demo.
stuff, but. Right now, this is the web app is open, and I did not build that. So that is the first thing. Okay, so this is the flow in which we create content. So we have statute. These are all laws. And this goes step by step, taking statute, taking topics that come from an exam outline, giving example content, running it through this process that finds all our course content that might be on a similar topic. We extract it. We then create learning objectives. So like, for instance, it could be a topic like what to do at a four-way intersection if we were talking about driving. It'd be like, understand the principles of who goes first, something like that. Then once we have these learning objectives, we feed it the state law, or if it's a driving example, we could say we feed it like the state handbook, the statute, like the statutorily factual information. It then would take the learning objectives, take the content, and write new content that would, this is an old one, but like, this is for insurance, but suddenly you start to see like, this is instructional content. This only existed in law and bullet points right before it. Then this next phase is kind of cool. I've done this a few different ways, but this stage 5 validation, it'll take the content and then it'll do an accuracy check. It'll say, okay, now go back to the statute and make sure that this is accurate. If it's inaccurate, fix it. Then go check it again, fix it. If you're still getting errors through 3 rounds, we'll stop at 3, but it'll fix it over and over and over. Like, it's like self-healing. Then you get it, and then you can download the final content. So like, that's for one topic. One topic would be, a course might have 500 topics. So I've wired it up that this can just run. This would take half a year of human time, and we've been able to speed it up. This one, this is a different way. It's like, you guys get to think about like the fun end user applications for the things you're building. At some point when your ideas start to scale, you have like the operations internally. Like, how are you gonna make sure all the clothes in that app are like accurate, and how are you gonna make sure they're like up to date, and like you don't have old clothes in it? Like, you're gonna have all these problems that suddenly emerge behind the scenes of everything. So one of the things that we have to do when we create a new course, we have to create like 800 exam questions. Sounds pretty boring. It is pretty boring, but now we can create them. But we ran into this issue where we had a goal to finish an Ohio insurance course today. 3 weeks ago, we were not gonna finish because it was taking people 14 days to review all the questions we had through the way we were doing it. So I built this tool that they could go in. I would upload AI-generated questions. They could come in and review, this is the content. They could review the questions and decide if they wanted to keep or discard a question. We were able to cut that review from 14 days to 1.5 days. So like, those are the types of, because like, let's be honest, no one should have me build anything that our customers are gonna touch. like me vibe coding at midnight is not the solution to that. Me vibe coding to solve real problems and constraints we have internally, like that I've done. And I was a CPA, I was an accounting major. I took an information systems class. I'm not technical, so like the things that you guys are building, so cool, regardless of what your background is.
Is anybody else in your company doing stuff like this?
Yeah, well thankfully our head of engineering is definitely leaned in, but we've put it in, you know, like we're a real business now, so it's like performance reviews. Like in your performance review, you're being evaluated against your AI usage. We use this system that you'll learn one day when you want to like organize a business, the OKR system. It's objectives and key results. It's a goal setting framework. Every team has a efficiency gain OKR that they got to go hit by using tools like this. Do you guys use N8N at all?
N8N.
Yeah, that's the other one. If you haven't, especially if you're non-technical, I would highly recommend checking it out, because you can do actually a lot of what I just showed you in a fraction of the time, because you don't have to play around with an interface. It strings together workflows in a more controlled way that lets you string together prompts with like Google Docs and Gmail, and you can solve a lot of problems with it. What other questions? Yeah. Sure.
Now that you're a successful businessman, like, and you're looking back at the product that you wanted to make or made, do you say that, like, I should have spent more time on this? This idea was great, but like, I gave up too early. Or you say, those are up like trash, because they support like kind of like main thing about it.
Yeah, there will be a day some year, 10 years from now, I don't know. For now, it's like, it's all aceable. We have so many problems that can be solved, and it's so much fun solving them. And quite frankly, like, all of my net worth is tied up in aceable, so we still got a lot of work to do. But yes, I mean, it's like an endless, like, the world's greatest hammer was just invented for like, any problem. It's so much fun. But there will be a day, not now.
Yeah, what's your end goal for aceable? Do you want to like get acquired, or do you want to go like public?
Yeah, I mean, like, the real talk of that whole thing is like, you know, once upon a time before entering Capital Factory, like, it was even before entering Capital Factory. The moment I took another dollar from somebody, my job became get them as much money back as I can. And especially once you start taking professional dollars. So like my goal, continue every day to make aceable more valuable. Like I don't control our board. At some point, it's likely private equity buys the company, competitor that's bigger buys the company. We probably don't go public. And really the reasons there is like our growth rate's around 10% annually. To go public, you gotta be 25% minimum. And we don't need the cash from going public because we generate a lot of cash. So like we're probably more of like a private equity type company. And now that I've taken money from private equity, growth equity, venture angels, and friends and family, like I gotta give it back and then some. So it's a little less what I want and more like, all right, how do we return that capital, but then keep the mission alive?
So you talked about being able to tolerate pain, and you also talked about luck. So how exactly do you like optimize your luck, maximize your luck?
Yeah, the maximize luck one I love. So there's a great quote that I heard around the Capital Factory time of, when I say that, it's like 10 years ago. Your success in life is directly proportional to the number of awkward or embarrassing moments you're willing to put yourself in. And I often have that in mind. Like the Josh meeting, I was so uncomfortable in that meeting. I went and met with him again. I like touched the stove and went back to the stove. Nobody does that. But thank God I did. Otherwise I literally would not be here now. I would probably be begging to make partner at Ernst & Young. And I'd be so miserable. So like, the number, like, are you willing to do the thing other people aren't willing to do? And it's typically like ego, and not necessarily ego and like, oh, I'm so great, but more like preservation of self for some reason prevents you from doing it because you're scared. So there's a great easy quote of like, what would you do if you weren't scared? Do that. It's like email the person, direct message the person, LinkedIn message the person. Like, especially y'all, like, most professionals will like respond to your messages if you're asking them questions. And like, you can take that all the way to the top of like, you have a shopping app, like go ask the head of commerce at, I don't know, Shopify what their perspective of it is. And there's a decent, they're not gonna reply to me, but they might reply to you if you say, you know, you're a UT student, et cetera, et cetera. So like, take the shot. Working in a closet, like by yourself, is not the way to maximize luck. Like, get around people, especially now. Like, come to this place. This place is magical. The serendipity created, like the number of Saturdays, y'all, this is like the easiest cheat code in the world. Like, I would work on Saturday. It wasn't for this reason, but it was a great byproduct. Because Josh would every once in a while walk around. Josh would have friends that are like, oh, can I come check out Capital Factory? He'd give them tours on the weekends. And then he'd be like, oh, who's the one company working here? I raised probably $100,000 just because I worked on Saturday. They don't know what the fuck I was doing on that Saturday. I probably was like, I don't know, like
I do walk around with people with big checkbooks.
all the time. So it's like, are you putting yourself out there? Are you taking the shot? I mean, those are two big ones. Like, send the email, do the thing that's uncomfortable.
And like part of, you know, another great thing about luck is that luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's like, part of that's like, you know, being on the 16th floor prepared, right? Like, I've been doing my pitch over and over and over again. I've been practicing it, and it's just getting better and better. And I'm in the right place at the right time. And when that opportunity walks in the door, when Josh happens to walk in with those VIPs, when there's one extra spot to go pitch at South by Southwest or like whatever it is, you're able to say yes and jump in, and you're ready to go do it. And then, you know, it all works out.
Yeah, I mean, here, I'll give you all 3 fast stories because 2 of them hit that board of like your speakers. So one of them, Brett Hertz next week. So the Aceable, we were on 16 and it was right by this conference room. Brett's son had Boy Scouts, and they used this conference room for Boy Scouts at like 7 o'clock on, I'm making this up, at like Tuesday night. And every single Tuesday night, Brett Hurt, who I didn't know, but I know that he's a living legend in this town, he would be in there with his Boy Scout group. And one night, they were supposed to have somebody more accomplished than me, because I didn't do shit at that point, come talk to the Boy Scout group about entrepreneurship. And that person didn't show up. So Brett, because I think maybe Josh had said something about me, was like, hey, I hear you're starting a business. Would you mind come talking to these kids about entrepreneurship? It's like, of course. So I go in, and then Boy Scout time is over. They got a bunch of stuff. I'm like, oh, can I help you carry that down to your car? I get in the elevator with Brett, this elevator right here. He's like, so tell me about your business. It's like,
True elevator pitch.
Give him true elevator pitch, give him the story. He says to me, are you raising money? I'm like, yes, sir. He's like, would you mind if I invest $25,000? I'm like, you know, again, like literally because I was there at 7 o'clock, because I was prepared. So like, if I was just working from home on my couch, it's never happening.
Yeah, another good example, another student that took this class, Tanuj, and of course now I'm blanking on his first name because I'm being silly. But anyway, from Hitch, the ride-sharing app, and they'd been in the class. I'd heard a bunch about them. I liked them a lot, but I hadn't really seriously looked at investing yet. And it was right coming out of COVID, and I had to get to Dallas, and I was like looking for different ways to do it, and I signed up for a Hitch, and so he saw that I signed up, and then he took the ride and picked me up and drove me to Dallas and got 3 hours in the car with me, like, and by the end of the car ride, you know, like I was ready to invest.
Yeah, I love it. I was at this event in 2013. It was called like Lean Startup Machine or something. Like you'd go and you'd like start a company in a weekend. And Jason Cohen, who y'all met last weekend, was one of the speakers. And at this point, I had this co-founder guy that like I randomly met, and we started working together, and it really was not going well. He wouldn't return to my phone calls. He wouldn't reply to my emails, and I'm like, shit, like, so I have this issue. So Jason Cohen does his speech, kind of like this. Immediately after, thinking about this quote that I once heard of like, success in life is directly proportional to the awkward moments you're willing to put yourself in. I go up to Jason, I'm like, hey Jason, this is my situation, I have this issue with the co-founder. Jason's never met me in his life. He says to me, it sounds like you need a mediator. And like, he's just flippantly saying this. And I just look at Jason like, will you mediate? And he's like, yeah. Because like, what's he gonna say, no at that point? Which he could have, but he didn't. So I came to Capital Factory for the very first time to meet with Jason Cohen so he could mediate a situation with my co-founder at the time that wouldn't reply to my email. But when I emailed, the guy's name is Brian, when I emailed Brian and I CC'd Jason Cohen, who every engineer in Austin knows, Brian replied for the first time in a month in about 3 seconds saying, yes, I will meet you at Capital Factory with Mr. Cohen. So that's where I met Jason, who then introduced me to Josh, and I went on the horrible first meeting with Josh. But it's just like, these things all are so interconnected if you're willing to do it. And the last one, because this is a really good story, I'm a little biased. So we had raised, I always say we, because it's less lonely. I, and no one else, had raised about $50,000 from my friends. I had cashed out my 401k from Ernst & Young. I had $50,000 in credit card debt. I was out of money. This was the summer of 2013. And the idea in the summer of 2013 was still, what was the idea? It was still making trivia games with nonfiction books. And I was introduced to this guy named Jimmy Williams. Jimmy Williams ran this organization called the Men's Health Network. And I was like, it's like Men's Health Magazine. This is like exactly the type of partnership I need. So I get a meeting with him and I find out it's a nonprofit based in DC. That's really the Men's Health Org. I'm like, oh, this is a little anticlimactic. But they had budget to spend and I needed money. So in that first phone call, Jimmy Williams used to live in Austin, tells me, oh, have you ever been to Texas Chili Parlor? Best chili in the world, it's my favorite place. I haven't been to Austin in so long, I miss it dearly. I get off the phone with Jimmy Williams. I'm pitching him on using trivia to teach men's health topics for $30,000. I have $2,000 in cash at this point again, $50,000 credit card debt. I'm pretty effed. Like, this is bad. I go to Texas Chili Parlor. I buy the biggest thing of chili I can, take it home, freeze it. The next day, I pack it with dry ice and send it to Jimmy Williams. The day after that, I get a phone call from the happiest man in the world. Jimmy Williams is in his office, in the kitchen cafeteria area with his whole team, telling them stories about Texas Chili Parlor while they eat Texas chili. 1 month later, Jimmy calls me to tell me they're gonna buy a mobile trivia app for $30,000, which lets me pay off my $10,000 minimum credit card payment and keep the dream alive. Without that chili, I'm not having this conversation. Who sends chili to somebody? It's like, so create your own luck. I'm like really running with this question, but it is so important, especially in this world where everybody can go build a product. Everybody, y'all, like, everything just got democratized. Yeah. So how are you gonna stand out to get distribution? Or to like get rid of whatever constraint is between you and success? And you gotta be willing to do the thing that no one's willing to do. Because otherwise you're just gonna be like everyone else and you're not gonna be running a successful business.
So we are just about out of time. This has been a great conversation. Do you have any kind of like, I mean, you've said a bunch of it already, but to sum up, like if you could give advice to yourself back in school, back in there where they are now, thinking back to how things have changed, where things are with AI today, any last thoughts to share?
I think the other piece that I just hit on it a tiny bit. I think as products, there's a democratized word, which is everyone's like fancy way to say everyone can do it now. Distribution is going to be so important. So understand how to, like, at the minimum, the basics of
like
whatever.
Anybody could make a driver's ed app. Getting people to use it is
like,
a whole different thing.
How do you get people to use your product? When everyone can make the closet app that tells you what to wear that day, like, how are you going to get other people to use it? Especially if you don't have money to go on Meta or Google search ads. So like, know the mechanics, know viral marketing as much as you can, like the principles of it, like what are the things that you're willing to do that others aren't, because getting products noticed is just gonna get more and more and more and more important. It's already incredibly important. But I'd say like in your own education, learn those pieces of it. And then I think the other just like trait is be so curious. Like, y'all have an opportunity of a lifetime. I'm literally not talking about myself at all. The panel of people that are going to be in this room are like legit geniuses. You have Josh here who's like giving, I've seen his house in Cabo. He could be in Cabo right now, but he's here with y'all to help you. So like, ask him a million questions. When I think back to my undergrad experience, I don't think I took advantage enough of the brilliant minds that were willing to share their brilliant minds with me, and y'all have them, and it's incredible. So like, be curious, ask questions, ask dumb questions. If you're really scared it's a dumb question, go in ChatGPT and say, how do I not make this a dumb question first? And then ask the question. But it's amazing the resources you guys have today, but it's gonna be hard work, creating luck, curiosity, understanding distribution. You'll be in a much better place.
Awesome. Round of applause. Thank you. All right. So that was great. Thank you, Blake. So glad you could join us today. And it is so cool to have Blake here right in between Jason and Brett, two people that I know he really looked up to when he was here kind of in your shoes. And here it is, 10 or 11 years later, and he's right here alongside him, and I'm sure, you never quite feel that way. He probably feels a little imposter syndrome too. But we all do that too. And yeah, super proud of you and super glad you're here. So I'm gonna give one more pitch tonight, but just a reminder, we're basically on the same journey for the rest of the semester. Same plan for next week. So we'll go back to try to a little balance it. So I'd love to see some more pitches, maybe some pitches for some different things we haven't heard. Maybe taking some of the pitches and really working on the story. Maybe trying something other than the story. That's okay too. I wanted to make sure we got that point, but I think we're getting it. And next week is Brett. I didn't even look. Yeah, Brett. So it's gonna be awesome. Brett's one of my best friends. Brett is one of the most successful CEOs and serial entrepreneurs in town. He's built many, many companies. He's got an incredible network. If he wants to go start a new company, he can just super quickly get together a whole bunch of awesome badasses that want to go work with him. He's like, I need a programmer and a COO and he's got them all there, because he's had so many people work for him and he's got such a great track record. If he wants to go raise money, literally just everybody would they just throw money at him, he can go raise $10 million super easy. And he just sold his company, last company, Data.World, so he's now kind of thinking about what's next. And I'm sure we'll share this. He just launched a new podcast. Podcast is called Love Conquers Fear, and I believe 2 episodes out. This one is with Jason Carr, who's the founder of Human Co. or the chocolate, and then also owns True Food restaurant. And he's a great entrepreneur in your time too. And so I'm sure that's probably some of the reading assignment you'll get if you want to go watch some of Brett's podcasts. He's also got a great book that's free and online called The Entrepreneur's Essentials, where he's written a ton of great content about entrepreneurship, hiring, recruiting, fundraising, all these different things. So I definitely read up on that before you come. You'll be able to ask him better questions and engage more. He'll be super impressed if you quote something from his blog or something like that. So it'd be really great. And he's amazing. And he is very active angel investor. So he's the kind of guy that can talk to you in the elevator, write you a $25,000 check. Okay. So I'll give him one more pitch. This is the fun part about this too for me is I get to just pitch them something every week and maybe they'll build my thing. Maybe I don't have to get to choose. Something I would really love to have. I can't remember now. I had it coming here. Okay. Yes. Okay. So there's marketing and there's sales. So marketing is I'm talking to a whole bunch of people at once. Sales is more one-on-one, right? Marketing is I'm gonna buy banner ads. I'm gonna put stuff on a website. Generally, most social media, though not all. Sales is they just fill out the form. Somebody call them. Go try to close this lead. Figure out what they want. Talk to them, right? Some businesses are more sales. Some businesses are more marketing. Some are both. For Capital Factory, I've learned we want to find great founders. And all kinds of other people, like people really interested in what we're doing, right? And one of the ways I've learned to find great founders and new companies is I don't get to do it enough, but a lot of times I'll be at Twitter or X or social media, I'll be clicking around, and on Twitter in particular, you can easily see who followed, people who followed you. When you click on it, it shows you the most recent ones first. You kind of see your new followers, right? And what I learned is like, that's a really good source of leads. Because like people that come follow me are usually following me for a reason. Like it's not totally random people. Like they're often people that are founders that just started a company. And that's why they're following me, right? Or there are other investors that want to get involved here. Or maybe somebody doing stuff with the government. Like all these people that I would want to meet. Not everybody, but like much higher likelihood than just some random list, right? And so I've found a lot of times when I go look through that, I'll be looking through and I'll find some company. I'll be like, I never heard of this company before. Like what is this? And it's like they've got like 4 followers, and like I'm finding really cool, and I'm forwarding off to our team. Like, oh, go meet this company, right? Go talk to them. So what I'd love to have instead is get an email or notification, maybe once a week, maybe I don't know what frequency, that automatically looked at my social feeds. Start with Twitter and X because that's like what I use a lot. I know there's a bunch of, but it probably would work for LinkedIn and for for lots of other places that don't even make it as easy to see this. And first, not just make a list of my new followers and show me what they are, but then look up each of those people. Look at what it says in their profiles. Look at what they talk about, and look at me and see what I'm interested in. And then be able to prioritize and sort them by which ones are the ones that are probably most interesting. Or maybe even let me say which ones I'm looking for, like using a, kind of like LLM style, and just be like, okay, show me which ones are possible startups, show me which ones are possible investors, and group them. And basically give me a list of really good leads every week by following on social media, or maybe finding other things to follow too. But I think this is a really good way of getting leads. And a lot of people could use it. Like a lot of people have accounts that get new followers like this that are probably really relevant, but don't have a way to monitor it, to watch them, and also they maybe feel like it's overwhelming because there's 100 of them. They look at 100 and maybe only 5 or 6 are good. But honestly, like getting 5 or 6 good ones is worth it. But if you could sort them for me so I could get focus on the best ones first, that'd be even better. Make sense? All right. There's the attendance slide. We're right at 6 o'clock, right on time. Thank you guys for being here today. Thank you, Blake, again for being here today. And we'll see you next week. Feel free to grab some extra pizza.